Good afternoon. We are at Balgorkar Recumbent Stone Circle, otherwise known as Castle Fraser. It's a lovely April afternoon, blue skies, deceptively chilly, around about 7 degrees, and just going to do a little bit of a walkthrough. So just for a bit of orientation, Castle Fraser is just off this way, looking at the Recumbent, and just off, maybe not so easy to see, but there's a couple of alignment stones just near the road at the other end of the field. And interestingly, when I was approaching the stone today, this is the second visit I've had to Balgorkar, as I came across from the road and along this kind of passageway of trees, I noticed that if I'm just standing with my back to the recumbent setting, that there's actually, within that boundary, within that trees there, directly where my finger is, there's two clear alignment stones fallen over in that tree line. And just off to the angle, about a similar angle, acute angle as the obvious stones in the field, there's another two, maybe even three stones in that area, clearly large enough to be alignment stones. And I'll post the pictures of them in the below the live feed when I get back. But yeah, just interesting that there's more alignment stones in this wooded area here. Going back to the recumbent setting then, so Balgorkar, it's a fantastic name, isn't it? It's better than Castle Fraser. So Balgorkar is actually, it's not some Lord of the Rings name that has that kind of guttural feel that we really like. It's actually the name of the farm, the old farm that used to be here, which makes a bit of sense. So very impressive recumbent stone circle. You can tell just from where I'm standing here, at the front of the, or round the circle, there's a pretty solid level, a little bit higher than the ploughed field, but it significantly jumps up for the centre of the circle where the cairn would have been. And there has been some sketches maybe 150 years ago of a central court being in the middle, and there's some curbstones and that we'll come to in a little bit of a minute. But yes, the stones are pretty significant and substantial. I think these ones are over a couple of meters tall, and going by the convention, number 1 stone is quite a pointy flanker compared to the other one, although you can never tell with the damage. I know Douglas isn't going to like me to say this, but it's well dressed. Now, we could maybe can open a bit of a debate. Douglas and I have a little bit of a friendly disagreement about what is well dressed, in other words, what has been shaped and what has maybe been naturally found, and I'm open to both, to be honest. But there is definitely a good right angle there, whether it was natural or shaped. Quite a substantial stone, and you can just, if we'll back up here, have a look at the alignment. It's pretty solid. Apologies if the audio is not that good, it's quite windy here today. The recumbent again is a good just over 2 meters long, and if I'm up at the circle, it's just up to my kind of waist height, but here it's almost kind of eye level where I am just now, and I can see it's just about a good arm's length, maybe a metre deep. It fits quite snugly in between the two flankers, the west flanker being number 1 and the east flanker being number 2. And this is a slab of a stone compared to the kind of pointy number 1 flanker. This is, look at that slab, absolutely massive. Look at that. That is and you can see the seams, the rock, the granite seams running down it. And there is some evidence, seeing past all the moss and such, you can see that there is some signs of quartz in there. Looks like it's either had a bit of a damage or fallen or whatever, but there's a bit of a gouge out the top there. But it's a pretty impressive recumbent setting here in Balgorkar, and you can see the difference in levels that I was talking about just by standing here. The sort of inner circle level is quite higher than this bit here. Now, there's a bit of documentation that suggests that there was a bit of a kind of paved semicircle at the front. Now, it depends on their orientation. I think I would suggest that that's the front of the recumbent setting, but it might have been talking about this bit here. However, this might have been earth that's filled in. These are curbstones that kind of curve off here and go round for the cairn. But I suspect there's maybe a little bit of a buried forecourt, maybe here at the front of the recumbent. But they are pretty tall stones when you're up next to them. It's a really impressive recumbent setting. So we come along to stone number 4. Nice tall stone, and maybe just a couple metres tall. A bit of a kind of point slot. It's a pointy stone. It's flat at the bottom, pointing up at the top. Again, they are what they are. Hard to tell if that is deliberate or been damaged over the years. The documentation that we've got for Balgorkar is pretty stable. There doesn't look like there's been much in the way of change for this stone circle over all the documentation over the last 150, 200 years. So this is stone 5. Look at that, lovely red granite, beautiful. And a bit of a slab stone. If I come back again, there's the recumbent there, flat facing to the outside, and we've got there's a chunk right enough, a bit pointy coming into the circle. You can see off at the distance, well maybe not so much, but off at the distance there's the 2 alignment stones there. So it's coming round to stone 6. Again, kind of similar in it's a flat facing to the outside. Difficult to tell, well dressed. I think this kind of falls into the, might have been kind of like a natural boulder that has been picked up, but you can never tell. Again, some signs of quartz there. So that's 6. Number 7's fallen. And according to the documentation, it's never stood as far as the last sort of 150 years are concerned anyway. But it's a small stone, considering if you were to say, well, about what's that, that's the end, so a good third, maybe third or quarter would be buried into its socket. So it would be a relatively small, squat stone. And that's directly in line with the recumbent. And like I say, turning 180 degrees, there's 2 alignment stones in that wooded area there, not too far away. So that's number 7, number 8. Over here, again, kind of starting to get a little bit taller. If I stand up next to this without falling over, it's up to just about my eye level. Again, kind of wide at the bottom, pointy, a bit of a chunk, a bit like stone 5. Very similar in shape. And again, red granite. Now, that's a curb stone, or what was described anyway in the documentation. The stone 9 is a bit buried underneath all the grass and turf. You can just see it here. Now, some of the early documentation misses stone 9 out altogether, which is not really surprising, because if it's been like this and it's been covered with a lot of grass and turf, it probably wasn't seen. And that goes a lot with recumbent stone circles, is that when people, and especially would have been going to survey them, they wouldn't necessarily have the tools or be expecting to clear away a lot of brush or gorse or trees to get to them. So what we'll maybe see is early sketches missing a few stones out, and that's because of perhaps kind of this kind of situation. I mean, you could see it wouldn't take maybe a couple of seasons for this to get completely overgrown and you would lose it altogether, but scraping it back now and again, you're able to kind of see stone 9. And again, it looks like a block, hard to tell what kind of shape it is, but it might have, once it's in its socket, maybe just stood a little bit taller than number 8. And then number 10, again, this is a chunk of a stone. Look at that. Again, if a kind of quarter to third was in that socket, either this side or that side, it would have been probably a little bit taller again coming round. And it's a fairly common trait with recumbent stone circles to have the tallest stones being the flankers, and then as they go round the circle, both sides of the circle get shorter and shorter, shortest at the back, and then the cairn in the middle type of thing. And like I said, there's evidence of some curb stones round about here. So I hope you've enjoyed that little bit of a walkthrough. It's a lovely day. Like I say, I think we've maybe established that there's potentially a few more alignment stones in the wooded area at the back for Balgorkar, but hope you've enjoyed that walkthrough, and thanks very much.